This video is about hidden human labor involved in artificial intelligence technologies. In the literature on human labor and technology, AI is often construed as any technology that performs human tasks, broadly construed. These could be anything from chess playing to assembling car parts, recognizing cats, or weaving textiles. Those technological objects or processes that may be taken to have replaced or diverted human labor are often regarded as automating processes or automatons, independent or self-directed mechanisms for performing tasks. This video will examine the way such technologies, construed as automatons or automated processes, might be seen as concealers of, replacements for, and devaluers of human labor. You may by now be familiar with the anecdote of the Mechanical Turk, the 18th century oddity constructed by Wolfgang von Kempelen and paraded around Europe and the Americas, challenging onlookers to the game of chess. The Mechanical Turk was presented as an amazing chess-playing machine, but all the while a human being was hidden in the bowels of its machinations, controlling the moves of the automaton above. The Mechanical Turk serves as a useful touchpoint for discussions on the roles of human labor in automation, a rather stark and on-the-nose instance of a case where automation was but a mere facade, an instance of automation as not automation at all, but in fact just the obfuscation of the human labor beneath. With a little bit of thought, we can perhaps supply some of the labors involved in modern instances of automation. We may think of computer programs designed to extract data and make inferences, or mechanical apparatus for assembling car parts in automotive factories. These, we can imagine, have human creators, human programmers, human architects, human designers, fabricators, assemblers. These human forces behind the machines and machinations are not always obvious. They're hidden. But upon scrutiny we realize they must be there. But the role of human labor in automation goes deeper than this. The Mechanical Turk's modern predecessor is an exemplar case. The corporate megalith Amazon encountered many failed attempts to program a number of information processing and data verification tasks and needed new, huge databases of training materials of different sorts. Thus, they founded a crowdsourcing website for such so-called human intelligence tasks, or HITs, tasks to which Amazon's attempts at programming solutions had so far failed. In an act of astonishing self-awareness, this website was christened Amazon Mechanical Turk, wherein workers respond to requests from requesters to do such tasks as labeling images for machine learning training, identifying duplicate objects in catalogs, screening inappropriate content, and verifying information listed about entities like restaurants, retailers, and so on. This labor constitutes an integral part of the effectivity, efficiency, and seamlessness of the Amazon platforms, and by and large, this labor is invisible to the average Amazon user, while contributing to the appearance of a powerful, artificial intelligence underpinning the vast network of Amazon's digital functionality. But appearances, the Mechanical Turk instructs us, can be deceiving. As your reading from Crawford and Joler points out, this obfuscation of the human role in AI expands its scope beyond the human being and extends all the way down the supply chain. They juxtapose the expectations and assumptions about what it means to automate, to make automatic, self-directed, independent, and maybe also quicker, cheaper, more efficient, with the unfathomable complexity and costliness of technologies like Amazon Echo. As Crawford and Joler illustrate, to automate the turning on of a light with Amazon Echo depends on an enormous network of cognitive and material labor associated with Amazon Echo as both object and conduit to the so-called cloud. From its hard programming and its parts, including rare earth minerals mined in often unethical and environmentally destructive ways and at great human cost, to the unfathomable proliferation of information in the cloud, information compiled, collected, and ascertained in a hopelessly complex history of human knowledge, codified itself by human beings as well. We can list the labors involved in automating the switch of a light and discover that whatever it was we expected of an automated task, simplicity, automaticity, efficiency, it's hard to see how these qualities apply. From the mining of the rare earth metals, sometimes done by young children and for very little recompense and at great cost to the earth, to the manufacturing and assembly of parts largely taking place in factories in China, in sometimes dangerous conditions and or mind-numbing monotony and for subsistence wages, all the way to the training of verbal command recognition, in part a labor of the very end user for whom the target task is being so helpfully automated. The labor identifiable in the so-called automation of the task is staggering. All these points, from the labor involved in extraction, fabrication, assembly, programming, to even the training labor of the end user, ought not go understated. The social and political elements of where and how this labor takes place, hidden in various ways, can also be tied to the devaluation of labor associated with this so-called automation. Workers for Amazon's Mechanical Turk, as well as laborers involved in the often horrendous job of censoring internet content, data labeling, and other information processing tasks underpinning artificial, seemingly intelligent systems, are often outsourced to places with less labor protections and low wages. Meanwhile, much labor involved in the development and continuous operation of these technologies is done completely for free. Every time we speak into our artificial personal assistants, every time we answer a CAPTCHA to prove our humanity, critical features of our informational and operational knowledge base are being exploited for the training of machine learning systems. Clicking all the squares containing streetlights helps image recognition software recognize streetlights. Seeing the letters amidst the visual noise helps recognition software detect written and typeset lettering. Our voice commands to Alexa and Google add to a database for auditory recognition tasks, as well as helping hone response behaviors in those systems according to whatever we do next. This point isn't so much to spur you to demand a salary from Google or Amazon for your time and interactions training your home or Alexa. Rather, it's to interrogate the notion of automation ascribed to these and other similar technologies. It's to ask, what has actually been automated? And perhaps more importantly, what hasn't? In The Automation Charade, Astra Taylor draws out a paradigmatic case where automation is ascribed to a technology that transparently doesn't really automate anything, but merely devalues a labor task by finding a way to get it done for free, but not by any futuristic automaton. McDonald's and other fast food joints' adoption of ordering kiosks, glorified giant iPads for submitting your order, have simply moved the labor from behind the counter to in front. Whereas before an employee took your order, now you take your own order. Another good example of this is the Kiwi campus robots at UC Berkeley who will deliver food and snacks to students. These robots, seemingly automating the delivery of food, are actually remotely controlled by workers in Colombia supervising the robots and updating waypoints roughly every 5 to 10 seconds. While technologies marketed as automations are simultaneously reviled and exalted for potentially ushering in a jobless future. In these and similar cases, they do not actually eliminate jobs, they just separate the labor from the wages. This isn't to say that all instances of technologies characterized as automation are just a sleight of hand to redirect our attention away from the chess master hidden in the desk, so to speak. For example, the automatic weaving loom does really automate, in a certain respect, some aspects of the process of weaving. But it wouldn't be quite right to say the automatic weaving loom automates weaving. What it does automate is the portion of the task concerned with interlocking the strands of thread into a sheet of a given dimension. It doesn't harvest the material or create the thread or arrange the thread on its mechanism, feed the thread, avoid tangles, maintain its own parts, supply the power for its operation, and so on. Somewhere down the line, and often at many different intersections, there are human beings. Likewise, certain custom industrial robotics really do automate aspects of manufacturing. But what aspects of a process and how that process is automated bear scrutiny. The Kiwi campus robots mentioned earlier operate with a combination of on-board programming and remote real-time supervision by real people. The robots can react to their immediate environment, scramble over curbs, avoid running into people or obstructions, and get themselves unstuck from tight corners. But they have no idea where they're going or how to get there. For that, they depend on human beings. By way of analogy, we can examine our own intuitions about automation with another example. What would it take for us to agree that truck driving has been automated? If a driverless truck was able to navigate its immediate environment, stay on the road, change lanes, avoid obstructions, follow traffic signals, but it had no idea where it was going or how to get there, if it was being directed, as the Kiwi campus robots, by a remote worker updating its route every 5 seconds, would we say the truck is autonomous? What would it mean to say the truck driving has been automated? Certainly this and many related questions are up for debate. What do we mean when we say a task has been automated? Could there really be a jobless future? Or will there be jobs in the future, just unpaid and hidden from view? And what about so-called automation now? It's worthwhile to scrutinize claims of automation for hints of the things we have reviewed in this video: hidden labor, devalued labor, and also to determine precisely what, in fact, has been automated. Automation obviously shares etymological roots with the word autonomy. So far, we have examined some of the ways that technologies taken to be instances of automation have in many respects depended on a complex of labor to complete a task. Insofar as automation is in part to be self-directed, independent, or automatic, things taken to be automations require significant caveats. But what of autonomy? In the next video, I'll try to explain some of the connections between conceptions of human freedom and autonomy and what it might mean to have autonomous mechanisms or automatons. I hope this video has helped to get you thinking about what is implied by the notion of automation and how our ideas about automation might struggle to match up with instances of technologies taken to be automations. If automation has to do with efficiency, independence, and autonomy, we can ask ourselves, to what degree do the likes of the Amazon Echo, driverless automobiles, and fast food ordering kiosks live up to that description?